Welcome to Undressing Intimacy, where we cut through the bullshit
Greggy,
so we can get naked.
you can't say that.
Why not? How would you say it then?
Well, maybe more like, welcome to Undressing Intimacy, where we undress emotionally so we can undress physically.
That's exactly what I said. Not sure what the problem is. Welcome to episode number
79.
That's right. We are so excited. We have a treat today.
Very thrilled, delighted, all the things. So joyful, grateful, happy. I cannot wait for all of you to meet this couple.
Yes. We have been trying to find a way to share some of the successes that our couples have gone through and also have them be able to tell you what the process looked like, right? Where they came from, what they were struggling with, and how they were able to take some of the things that we taught them and work with them to change their marriage and where they're at today. And so we have a couple that we feel has exemplified changes they have made. So do you want to introduce yourselves, Nikki and Michael?
Go for it, babe.
Yeah. Michael and Nikki, we live in Utah currently, but we are going to be moving to another state soon. We have 3 adult children. We are almost empty nesters, and I can't even tell you how excited we are about that. We love our kids.
It is
just
a
by the way,
good
but,
thing.
you know.
It is a very good thing, yes.
Empty nesting is,
And I know you said exemplify. I hate to tell you, but we're not that special. Like, we're kind of ordinary, just kind of normal. And that said, our journey's been pretty amazing, and we're excited to share.
The cool thing is we're all pretty much that way. We say that all the time, right? And it doesn't take anything special for that person to be able to understand some of these concepts and be able to apply them in their lives and see changes. And when they see the changes, we almost see a snowball effect. And they're like, okay, we can do this. And they start applying them. It's just absolutely amazing. It's the thing that Amy and I love the most. And the reason why we actually do this, it's just a blessing in our lives.
yeah. So I was thinking back to when I first met you. It was at a retreat, and part of the retreat included coaching just to kind of help implement some of the concepts in that retreat. And from that moment, then we moved into coaching journey. But I am curious, before you came to that retreat and before you came to coaching, what do you feel like would describe your marriage at that point?
I think, we were great. We were great friends. We still are great friends. We had a good foundation. We've been working on ourselves for 12 years to really change and shift. And we shifted a lot of things with our parenting, we always had a pretty good relationship together about finances and things of that nature. But I would say, as far as sexuality and intimacy, it was pretty, on my part anyway, pretty immature and stagnant.
Yeah, we were pretty much in this box, like, for most of our marriage, of like, this is what intimacy is like. And I didn't like the box per se. Nikki didn't even want to talk about the box. It just was sort of like there.
Yeah.
And the rest, we had a lot of really good things that were going on, but that space was like, it's just is what it is.
It was like Pandora's box. You just don't even want to open it.
Yeah. It's scary what might be inside that thing.
And so what brought you into the leap of the retreat and then to step forward in coaching? What was maybe like your hope, or like what gave you the courage to take that leap? Maybe what were you looking for and what brought you to that point?
I really wanted to learn more about, intimacy and sexuality in a Christian-based format. So I started looking for that, and I found an online retreat, and somebody who was one of Michael's professors at university was on there. And I'm like, well, if he can be on this, I think it's going to be okay for me to listen. So I listened to the whole thing. And then we found out about the retreat you were at, and I'm like, Michael, we should do this. And at this point, we were kind of not in a good space marriage-wise. And I'm like, I think we should do this. And we started looking at it. And I'm like, I don't think we can go to a sex retreat. I just don't think we can do it. But we
Is that what
signed up
Michael said, though?
anyway.
Did he say that too? Or did he say, let's go?
I'm pretty tight with finances and how I spend. And
Mm.
so I was like looking at the dollars, but I was like, hey, no problem. Let's do this. Like I was all
I
in.
thought it
like,
might go. You want to
Yeah,
spend
yeah,
that money?
for
Let's
sure.
do it. That's usually how it is.
So we
So
were
we-
nervous and scared, but wow, it turned out to be pretty amazing.
Yeah.
It has been amazing. I just think of the two of you that I met then and the two of you that I know now, and just how much transformation, and also while being just the most, how do I say this? Like real people, right? Like this is a journey with ups and downs and ins and outs and ebbs and flows. And like all of us, you're just as human as the rest of the person. And yet there's been some really important transformations for each of you. And I'm curious if we could maybe kind of dive in individually to each one and what you discovered through coaching about yourself, or what did you develop, did you feel like, through coaching? Do you want to start with Michael?
Well, I'd say the first time, so we met you guys at the retreat, and I remember thinking, wow, if Craig and Amy can change and they seem pretty normal, like we could do this too. And as we went and we started talking, and I was just trying not to mess it up because like Nikki was like, hey, I want to change. I want to try some coaching. I want to do some things. And I'm just like, how do I be supportive? And so I think in part I was like, okay, this will be great for Nikki, right? But in reality, this was great for me. And even the first time that when we started coaching, it was individual. I think we would do individual first and we come together as a couple. And we did that pattern for a few months.
Mhm.
And the first time that I had a coaching session with Amy, I'm like Mr. Note Taker. And so I had like 2 screens and I wasn't even looking at it. I was just like, trying to take notes, and in a way it was helping me not be fully all in. It was sort of like a safety zone because I could just,
It was this
copy
little
things.
barrier of protection where you could
That's
be like,
right, that's right.
uh-huh.
And Amy was just, I think by the end was like, okay, you can stop taking notes, you can focus. And so it was, that first one was like, okay, I kind of got slapped on the wrist a little bit because just realizing that, okay, if I want to change, it's really about me being vulnerable, being honest, and being intentional, which
Mhm.
means super focused and,
Mhm.
Yeah.
not looking for things to distract myself from what's at hand.
Yeah, I mean, we find this pattern so normally. I mean, that's the pattern I went through, right? Amy's broken. She needs to be fixed. And if Amy would have come to me and said, let's go to a sex retreat, I'd have been like, how much? I don't care. Let's go. Just because I thought, oh, finally she realizes that she's broken. She's going to get fixed. What was the moment, Michael, when you're like, oh, crap. I can tell you the exact place that I was at and what I was doing when I was like, I relate to Taylor Swift. It's me. I'm the problem. It's me. Do you have a moment like that?
I would say the biggest thing for me was really deciding to be vulnerable and honest. And we had some sessions individually, but we would, at one point we decided, hey, it's just easier if both of us were in the same coaching session. We did some work individually, but coming together. And so we call it the hot seat. Like one of us is on the hot seat. And I could just, I think there's a couple times where I'm like, okay, I don't know if I'm going to say this out loud. And I would say like how I'm really feeling with Nikki there and with Amy. And like, that was really hard, mostly because I came from a pattern of shame and isolation and trying to present, hey, everything's great. Life is good. I don't want you to know how I'm really feeling because that's really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But getting to a space where it was like, if I want to change and I want to do it quickly, which I'm all about efficiency, that the more honest and the more open, the more intentional, the faster the change and the growth.
Let's be honest, you just want to get off the hot seat faster.
That is true. Yeah.
Let's get it done. Let's get it done.
I really did watch you, though, Michael, go from this sort of protected and guarded space to being willing to say the difficult things, to be willing to admit them, to share them. And some of that was an internal narrative that we worked on that liked to hide and to present this outward maybe persona, and then sort of breaking that outward persona and moving more towards just presence and honesty. It Do you remember a moment, or do you remember what that felt like moving into more presence and honesty?
I just remember, I guess it was a couple things. One is working to let go of carrying around the burden of shame and isolation, and
Yes.
realizing, number one, I'm not that special, which means everybody goes through stuff and everybody's
Yep.
got stuff, and that I'm not that unique. And the more that I can just set it out there and work through it and be honest, then I don't have to carry it around. And I
Yeah.
don't have
It
to
was
think
so
about it. But I can
heavy.
really,
Yeah.
it was such a heavy burden, right? And this is,
Mhm.
and the power of us doing it together was, the other person would just listen
Yeah.
and recognize, and we've gotten really good, or at least better, at not judging, but just
Yeah.
listening and giving the other person
Yeah.
space to explain without us butting in.
I think that's where I wanted to go next. Like, Nikki, what was it like for you to sit here having known Michael? How many years before you guys started coaching had you been married?
28.
Yep.
Yeah. 28. 28
Yeah.
years you'd known Michael, and here you are sitting here, and he's probably exposing himself in ways that you've never heard of before. What was that like for you to go through that?
I was so proud of him.
Isn't that interesting? Michael, you're probably sitting there like she's going to be disgusted. She's going to like not love me. She's going to judge me. And it was, Nikki was like, I'm so proud. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I totally loved him more because I'm like, that must have been so hard to share that. And, something he's kept to himself for so long, being so ashamed of whatever he was going to say. And I was just like amazed and proud and just loved him even more for it.
It really is the opportunity we give them to actually love us, right? Amy didn't know me. She couldn't choose me because she didn't know me. She only knew the version I wanted her to know. And I kept hidden everything else. Sometimes it can be hard to say those things. And sometimes a spouse, you can hear them and it's hard. But in the end, you're really giving them a chance to say, this is me. You can choose me or you can't choose me. And what a cool reaction to say, like, I'm proud. That's awesome.
Now I want to dig in a little bit to your journey, Nikki. I remember sitting in front of you in that first coaching, and you were saying things like, I don't have emotions. I don't make decisions. People do this for me. And I was looking at this extraordinarily capable, well-spoken person thinking, what?
This doesn't add up.
This doesn't add up. So tell me a little bit about your journey and what coaching helped you learn about yourself and helped you develop.
So we've tried regular therapy, marriage therapy before. And I think Greg, you spoke to this a couple weeks ago in a podcast that you and Amy were on. And I think our situation was similar. They wanted us to kind of conform to their box. And I'm not saying therapy doesn't work. Therapy is awesome. But for us, for a marriage, therapy didn't work. So I was kind of hesitant to come, but the coaching with Amy has been amazing because I think I was born afraid. We have this name for me now. I'm calling it my piglet complex. I was just afraid of myself. I was afraid of everything. I'm thinking about as we're trying to pack up our house and move. We've moved a lot of times, and sometimes we'll just take all the boxes and just move them. And there's some boxes that we know we should look through, but we don't want to. And I feel like that's how coaching has been. Like there's these boxes of my life, of intimacy, of being fearful, of people doing things for me that I just don't want to look at because it's so overwhelming. But Amy has been there to hold my hand figuratively, to open up that box and examine, okay, is this true? Is this a false narrative? Is it even worth keeping anything in that box? And I'll be honest, a lot of things that we've uncovered about myself and this purity culture we grew up in, and parents and church leaders, they did their best. Honestly, they really did, but it didn't serve us. But I've held on to that box for so long, and it was almost like a badge of honor, like this is my box, you know? And being willing to open it and examine it and throw it away has been super freeing. And by doing that, I still have a piglet complex. I'm working on it, but it's getting better. I've got a lot more confidence and I've got a lot more joy. My immaturity with sexuality and emotions has just grown by leaps and bounds. And I'm so excited about it. I'm so proud of it because it takes a lot of work to look at yourself and to be willing to look at the hard parts and say, I don't want that anymore, and I'm going to do something about it. And I think that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
It's been so amazing just to witness and watch. And you've had several moments where you stepped really into yourself and had courage and did a lot of, maybe challenging things that you wouldn't have done before. Can you think of any of those moments that really resonate with you, or anything where you felt this really shift in you, some way that you used to see yourself and now see yourself?
I like pie. I've had to eat a lot of humble pie, and that's not very good. Doesn't taste very good. But I can think of one experience. Like recently, Michael and I were visiting the place that we're going to be living, and we were doing our emotional check-in, our daily check-in, which is huge for us. And it was interesting because I said something and he totally thought I meant something else. And then his reaction, I thought he totally meant something else. So we were able to just talk about it and work it through. Whereas normally I wouldn't have said anything, or I would have retreated and I would have given him the silent treatment. But because of the tools we've been learning, we were able to realize, wow, that's not what I meant at all. And what he said wasn't what he meant at all. And so that was a really cool moment where we could have been locked up for days of just being mad at each other when it was just a total miscommunication, but we worked it out. I was so proud of that.
Those moments when you see the things you've been working on so hard, like you said, it's painful. Humble pie doesn't taste good, right? There's work to be done. I think Amy and I got to the wall where the real work started happening in the relationship, and it was so painful and tough that we would never step through it. And we were like, we're almost there, just ready to make those changes. But we didn't have someone to help us say, hey, just on the other side of this wall, it gets better. Not easier, but better, right? And to walk through that. And then when you have those moments in your life where you look back and say, oh my gosh, that worked. I mean, we talked about it on my last podcast when we were hanging wallpaper, right? We got done and we're like, we didn't yell at each other. Like, this thing sucked. Hanging wallpaper sucked, but we like didn't yell at each other. What is going on? And it was during the podcast, which is why I love doing the podcast, that we unraveled it and realized, oh, I was using the thought model that I've been taught so many years ago to help me understand this and not get upset, and to walk away when I needed to, and to get centered. The things that you do over and over again that are hard and painful, and all of a sudden you realize they've become part of you. And that's such a cool place to be. So fair play here. So Michael, you listened to Nikki and watched her go through this, and you experienced this with her. What was it like for you to see this happen and see the changes that Nikki went through?
It's amazing. Nikki is finding her voice, and I'm learning to give her space for that voice. And that's sort of one of the big ahas. I mean, we've been 2 years in coaching, and it's probably the last 2 or 3 months where I had this huge aha that Nikki is used to having people do things for her, and I just took over in our marriage and have done that. You know, whether it's finances or other things. And we just had this aha that I don't need to do that. Why do I need to do that? And so for me, it's been interesting to catch myself in that mode. We call the Thurston Howell character in Gilligan's Island. And that I just tend to, I know better. This is how we should do it. And really stepping back to give Nikki space. And this is a journey, and we're still on it. But the good news is, like, even today, there's been twice where I've caught myself going like, okay, I am not managing this very well. I am sorry, trying to give Nikki more space. And it's been really good for both of us. And so that's, and the exciting thing there is that this is after 21 months of coaching. We're finding going to new layers and new things that we're finding. I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't believe how many more things I've got to work on. But it's awesome.
I hate to break it to you, it's not going to end, and you'll still mess it up. That's what we found. We mess it up almost the same amount. We just now fix it faster. So you have the tools to fix it, and that's awesome.
And the cool thing is, with Michael giving me space and not doing everything, not doing everything for me, I can't even tell you how much more confidence I feel. It's painful. It is painful to do these little things that should be really easy for somebody my age, but they're hard because I really haven't done them. But I feel so accomplished, and I just feel like on top of the world because I'm doing these little things that everybody used to do for me, and not just Michael, but just growing up. I don't know why everybody just did things for me. So this is awesome.
It's really easy when you have people over functioning for you. There's nowhere to go, right? You can't step into it. We were the reverse. Amy would over function for me, and I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't function because she would function for me. And if I tried, I didn't do it well enough anyway. So she would redo it, right? And it just was so frustrating. And I don't know, maybe this isn't you, Nikki, but for me, it was a little way like the only way we can sometimes have a voice is to not have a voice, right? So when we don't say anything and we don't function at all, that's our way of saying, nah, I'm not participating.
100% agree.
Yeah. It's so cool to be able to say, yep, I am participating.
It's in all the little moments that these things shift. Sometimes we think there has to be these like huge, earth-shattering moments, but I find it's in a lot of the daily moments, little interactions like your emotion sharing the other day when things like take a drastic different path than they would have. And then those little small moments just become so powerful, right? They are creating that new pattern. And I watched the two of you. You had a great friendship. You had so many wonderful partnership things already in your marriage, like you said. And yet I watched you go from that like partnership, stability, getting a lot more honest with each other. We worked a lot on honesty with individually to yourself, right? Learning what you were really thinking, feeling, experiencing, and then being able to share that. And then that honesty moved towards really like designing and creating the marriage that you want and the life that you want to have together. I watched you move from a good marriage, a good partnership, to getting a lot more honest with each other, with yourselves. And then that started to lead to intentionally creating the marriage and life that you want. Can you tell me a little bit about what that process is like, or that experience is like now, to be creating instead of managing?
Yeah, for me, I think we have this saying that has been on our wall for a long time: for things to change, I must change. But we also kind of subconsciously added for them to change instead of me to change. so
Exactly.
Applies to the spouse, not me.
Yeah.
Right. But I think as we have, this last 2 years, we have really been intentionally working on ourselves. And just this last several months, as we have been intentionally creating this move, we are moving across country, and I can't even tell you how joyful it's been to create this together, because we are solid in what we want to create. And it's just fun to create it together because we're in such a good space with ourselves individually that it's allowed us to have difficult conversations with extended family members or other people as we are making this process of moving. Sometimes we have to have uncomfortable conversations, and it's hard, but we realize that this is the best thing for us as a couple. And we just feel like we're on fire. This move has really amped up our marriage and our desires and our joy and our creation energy.
Yeah, huge creation energy. And it's super fun. It's scary, but not really, because we're so united on what we want, and we're essentially writing our story of how we want things to go, and we're putting it out there.
Yeah.
And we're not bashful about it.
And it's happening.
It's
Yeah.
I
crazy.
mean,
It's crazy what it does.
we had a huge breakthrough on something that's just like, boom, is exactly what we needed to happen. It's exciting. The interesting part is so many people out there are afraid and scared. And when they hear what we're doing, they want to tell us all the reasons why this isn't good.
Yeah.
And because we are united and frankly just in love and having such a fun time creating this together, that we're having a ball, and we're able to move forward in faith and take action and not get stuck waiting for everything to happen, then take action.
Yeah.
And it's really uncomfortable for a lot of people, but for us, like, we're creating our future because of where we're at.
Yeah.
This is like the culmination of like so many things coming together for us.
And there's nothing special about us. We are just ordinary. But because we're united and we're intentional, we're taking action, I can't even believe how many miracles have happened for this move. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
It really is. And it's so crazy when you finally take hold of what you desire and you state it and you own it and you claim it. And then you start to create it. And I think it was that honesty first, like, we want this. This is what we want. And yes, some of the honesty is hard to hear too, right? Getting rid of what you don't want and letting that go. And it bubbles up and it hurts, but then you can heal and work through it. But then also leave space for you to declare, claim, own what you do desire and what you do want to create. And it starts happening. And it's almost like, is this for real?
Pinch me.
We've said that multiple times. Like, pinch me. I can't believe this is real.
Like, we lay awake at night and we are just so giddy. We can't sleep. So we run through the miracles. We pinch each other. And what's so cool is that we realize
is this a dream?
Anybody can do this, though.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. It's so true.
And I like it when she pinches me, by the way. So.
That's not a honking grab. Is it though? Yeah. You know what? It's so interesting because we've come to find out, we talk a lot about Eros energy, right? And Eros energy is the life-giving energy we talked about. And it can be applied to sexuality and sex. Obviously, there's part of it there. But it's the general life-giving energy. And it lives in this realm of creation. That's where it lives and thrives. And when we fixed the problems we had sexually and intimately in the bedroom, and we allowed Eros to fill our lives, not only on the sexual side, but we allowed it and said, okay, we're going to let it fill our whole lives. That's when the change came. You're explaining this, right? You have given room for Eros to grow and to take hold of you, and for you two to be connected in it and move forward and create. And even as silly as thing as making a bathroom, even if you get through the wallpaper, right? We loved creating that together. That was something that we created together. We own horses. We, moved to a property. So many things happen in our lives that you would have never been able to tell me that was going to happen. And it was this place that when we open our lives up to this Eros energy, this life-giving energy that is the creation energy, it just goes throughout your whole life.
It does.
And like we keep saying, I'm glad you're saying this because I don't want to be the only one saying it. There's nothing special about us, right? We don't have a leg up anywhere. We don't have any special talents in anything. We just learned how to let this Eros energy grow in all parts of our lives. And it's absolutely fantastic. And to watch you guys in the middle of it's fantastic too.
I'll just say we take walks almost every morning. And we usually start with our emotional check-in. It sort of cleanses the palate, sort of gets us, aligned. And then as we walk, we start talking about how we want to create different things and whatnot. And this is actually how the move to Florida began. And so it was one Saturday morning where we just started talking about all of these things. And Nikki just got like a bolt of energy.
The seed was planted.
Yeah. And
you're like,
and that's
we're going to do it.
That's when it started. And even this morning, we went on the walk and we went further than we normally do because it was the same spot where she had that bolt of lightning and she just wanted to recreate.
Yay. You mentioned it a couple times, and we know this is one of the golden gooses in our bag of tricks. You've talked about this emotional check-in. Can you just describe a little bit why it's become so important to you?
And what it's maybe created or allowed to develop, or, like how it supports your marriage?
You bet. For us, I think part of it was, when we went to the retreat, we heard about this and we're like, okay, that sounds interesting. But it was also in line with us not really thinking about our emotions before. And so, taking pause to think about what happened the previous day or the previous time since we've talked, and how I felt, how we felt about these things, expressing things that were happy or frustrating or exciting or whatever, and finally giving voice and doing this in a space where Nikki, or my spouse, is just quiet.
Yeah.
She is safe, but she's just quiet, right? Her role is to just listen, right?
Yep.
There's a couple times where like, hey, like,
yeah.
I know you want to.
I tell him, you're breaking the rules, Amy. You're breaking the rules.
Sorry.
And you're the rule keeper, so you better get back to it.
And so it's really fun and it's, fun, yes, but also there's times where there's hard things that we go through, and it's like, I just need to say how I'm feeling about some things.
And you can't like dodge it and avoid
respond, it. You're just going to listen. Right.
Yeah.
And so
you being the overfunctional, Michael, I bet there was a challenge there of just being quiet. Like my tongue bled, I think, from biting it.
Yeah. I'm such a problem solver that I fix it, like, and so for me, it's been really good to just listen. And also to realize the value that, yes, Nikki can solve her own problems. She doesn't need me to solve her problems.
I can deal with my own emotions that come up from hers. And we talk about this. It's almost like that daily ritual in the gym where you're working out and working out and working out. So when the big thing happens, you have the muscles to be able to deal with it because you've learned how to work through those emotions and process through them. And now you know how to do it because every day you're doing it. And it's still today. It's not like I just sit there and go, I'm really good at listening to Amy and processing my emotions, right? I still have to focus myself and like, okay, that's bringing up this emotion. What does it really mean? And I do it faster, but I still have to do it every time.
I just want to add that for me, because it's been so hard for me to just express myself and say what I'm really thinking, by doing it every day, because if it's a habit, it's easier for me to say. Sometimes it's still really hard to say what I need to say, but it's easier because we do it every day. And I did notice that when we first started, we were consistent and then we weren't. And then sometimes we'd slip, and we really noticed when we didn't do it, we were not as connected. We were a little more snappy with each other. It's just a powerful, powerful tool.
It's so simple, but yet so powerful. It's really easy to overlook all of the things that it's helping you do as a person and as a couple and between you, because it seems so simple, and yet it's actually reinforcing so many powerful skills. Because I think emotional regulation in a marriage is literally one of the most important things you can bring to a marriage to allow you to not only work on the domestic side, but also the erotic side. Like, it is like the universal tool.
It's the foundation. If you don't have that foundation, the erotic just crumbles, right? It's like we see so many people buy apps and download this and read this book and try this position and, do all the things that they've been told will make great sex. And it just becomes so frustrating because they don't have the emotional foundation built first that they can rely on. That allows them to fall back when it doesn't work, or allows them just to laugh when something goes crazy, or allows them to really enjoy that pleasure when it goes right. Mm-hmm. And it really is the foundation.
Do you have any other tools or skills that you like to use fairly regularly in your marriage now? Any other practices?
We're much quicker to forgive and to admit it. Like, as soon as we see something, instead of carrying that around, just ask for forgiveness and apologize, recognize it, and move on. And we're getting so much better at really just naming it and moving on.
It's harder for me to just give physical touch. It's just not what I'm used to. I've just been so bottled up in my own self. And as I've been more open and free and and it's still a work in progress. I am a work in progress for sure. But I think that's been really helpful because we're wired for connection. And I think just over the last few months, I've started to realize how important it is. And it's really improved along with the emotional check-in and our intentionality with our move and everything else. I think that's been huge for us, for me specifically.
You used to experience a freeze or sort of maybe like a wall before physical touch or affection. Tell me, how do you help yourself maybe relax or receive or give or be in that space that has been difficult for you?
I think it's you helping me process. As I say things, you have a gift for kind of seeing what I'm saying in a more global perspective, if that makes sense. And so I have learned that it's okay to break down the walls and the barriers and the pathways that have been so deeply ingrained in me since I've been a child that were not healthy. I didn't know that it was okay to let it go and to build something different. And so now I look forward to doing things, trying things that we are both comfortable with, that never, if you'd asked us even like a year ago, I never would have done this, you know? And it has been so joyful, so freeing. And it's like, I know that God wants us to be happy and to connect and to be physical with each other. It took me a long time, Amy can attest to this. It's taken me a long time to break down this particular barrier, but it has, I think, helped the most.
Michael, does that just blow your mind? To me, sometimes I'm like, who's this woman laying next to me?
I know. Yes, totally. The other thing that blows my mind is I used to think of Eros energy as being erotic and that like it's all sexual. But yet we had a whole week in Florida where we were going to buy a house, etc. And so we were so connected and things went so well that I felt like we made love the whole week.
Yeah.
Our touch, like we never had intimacy, but it was such like a whole making love week, just having so much of this connection and Eros energy that it was amazing. And then when you add physical touch on top of that, it's just a whole new level.
And isn't that crazy? Because that's what we were desiring all along, right? And that's what we were trying to extract out of our wives was that ness that you talk about, making love in a way that's not even physical. But we didn't understand it, and so we tried to extract it in the physical way. We thought that if they would do it more often, more frequently, if they would do these different positions, if they would,
Give us
rip their clothes off and jump us, that would mean that this is the case. And we pushed so hard for that, right? And then, as I say a lot, like until we got the hell out of our own way and we stepped back and learned to have this foundation, I'll tell you, like Amy's way capable, right? And she blows my mind on a regular basis, the things that I always had hoped for. But I'm not needy because it's that real connection that gives us what we truly want. And we didn't have that. And so the neediness came of, I kept grabbing for it, literally grabbing for it and figuratively grabbing for it. And it was never enough because I wasn't actually getting the thing that I really wanted. And I think you just explained it just perfectly, Michael, of what that thing is you really want, that Eros energy that connects us and gives us that connection and establishes it in a way that we can use it in our lives in general, but also in our intimacy and our sexual relationships too.
And sometimes it includes sex and sometimes it doesn't. But it's this life-giving, replenishing, connecting, full presence that you learn to share. And it starts showing up in lots of ways, including sexuality. And sometimes people try to force it through sex, but you can't force it. You can't like demand or ask or force or push for it. You really have to just allow it to grow and develop and like make the space and like kind of like cultivate the ground so it can grow
Yeah,
and it does
suffocated.
its own thing.
Yeah. Amy came up with this great analogy, and we like to use it now. I think we should coin it and resell it. It's like Eros energy is really like starting a fire, right? And there's nothing there, and you have to get your kindling just right, and you get it lit, and there's a spark there. And what most men, including myself, like to do, as soon as I saw the spark, bam,
Throw gas on the fire, you know.
blew it. I threw more wood on it, and all of a sudden I'm like, why is it out? What's going on? Because I suffocated. I didn't let the fire grow. And we've learned that this Eros energy is the magic if you let it grow and do its thing and don't suffocate it. And I think that's exactly what we're trying to explain here is like, you've got to understand that it's something that we nurture and work together and co-create. And when you do that, it works.
You know, I like how you said that because I would listen to you guys all the time, and you would say, you know, Greg, you'd say, I've got to get out of Amy's way and let her kind of grow into this. And and I loved that you said that, but I also got frustrated because I'm like, I don't get this. I get it, but I don't feel it, you know? And then it just takes time. So anybody who's listening, it takes time. Just let it grow because all of a sudden it'll just happen. And now I know what you're talking about, but I didn't. But you have to just keep trying and don't give up.
Yeah.
It really is a patience practice, like, because we want to like achieve it or get to this goal or like push there, and you can't. And so it's a practice of like cultivating the space where it can eventually show up, and it will, but it does take some just time. And
I wish there was, and maybe there is. We need to think about it a little bit. Maybe you guys can help us think about this. Did you see any indicators that you were moving in the right direction, Nikki? That they're, you know, yeah, Greg's full of it over there. I don't believe what he's saying. But what are some of the things we can tell our listeners that start showing that we are moving in the right direction and not to give up and give it patience? Do you have anything that you can think of?
For me, it was a feeling. I felt less pursued,
yeah,
not in a bad
less
way, but
pushed.
less pushed. And I could just feel it because I could sense he was working on himself, trying to give me space to let me grow. And I didn't notice it at first, even though I know he was working on it because I was in the calls with Amy, right? But I didn't feel it. But as he kept working on it, it was just subtle. But then all of a sudden I could feel it, and I'm like, okay, I think I like this. I think I shocked my goal when I wanted to do something that I knew it would help get me in the mood. And I think he was completely shocked, but it was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Is
that
this
is
real? Pinch
amazing.
myself, you know.
Yeah, it was that question again.
Pinch me moment.
It's actually the case, right? In fact, I see a lot of my clients, especially the wives that have been pursued so heavily for so long. Like, I don't know about you, but I had all the good manipulation tactics, right? I knew how to twist anything, an arm here, whatever needed to be there to try to get what I wanted. And there's this space, I think, Nikki, that you just described where I was like, oh, shoot, I got a problem here. I never, ever want duty sex again. I never, ever want to have Amy feel like I'm pursuing her and she doesn't want to be pursued. I got to do something about this. And it took a little time. We had the big moment where I asked her what was hard about being married to me, and she was honest. There was that big moment. But even after that, it took some time for her to believe, to trust. I have a couple right now that I'm working with is right in this. Like, he has totally seen the light and is like, oh my gosh, I can't believe what I've done to her for all these years. And we got to get rid of the shame part because that doesn't help. But there is a bit of shame there. And he's starting to overcome that. And she's just like, I don't know. I've seen manipulation tactics before, right? And I know what they look like. And so there is this pattern of patience. Is this real? Is this going to stick? Is this something that is really going to hold for us as a couple? And I think that's where those feelings come from. The Nikki that you described is like, all of a sudden you're like, oh, wow, this is real.
And it becomes enticing, or like you said, I want this, right? Like that want or desire or interest starts to form. And the meaning isn't, I have to do this, or this is something that I should do. All of those types of meanings are gone. It isn't work. It isn't a job. It isn't a duty. It isn't an obligation. It becomes something that seems really desirable, or something that you want to participate or be in that space, or that it has a desirable meaning for you. It's beneficial, not just for the marriage, but like for you personally.
I don't know if you guys were in the treat when one of the ladies stood up and said, yeah, he better take me to the bedroom at nighttime and spoil me, because that's the only time I get spoiled. And like every woman in the room was like, what are you talking about? You're crazy. I think it's those things you talk about, Nikki, where you hear, you're like, that's just crazy. That's crazy talk. And I'm okay with people calling me crazy. I think I got called crazy last night too. I didn't get what you were saying. I thought you were woo-woo crazy. I know, it's different.
I don't know if you noticed in your journey, but I noticed like you can tell the sincerity of their intention versus being pursued.
Yes.
And at first I didn't recognize it, but once I realized that it was genuine and pure love that he wanted to share with me,
to express and to really give to you to receive.
Soul and my subconsciousness started recognizing it. And then as he kept being more genuine and the trust built, not that there wasn't trust before, but do you know what I'm saying? The trust just built.
And that this was authentic and or real, and not, a tactic or, some way to just get something.
Yeah.
Yeah. You feel it, and the quality of what happens between you just changes. I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah.
I look back on me like, 7 years ago or so, and I think of all those years that I missed out on all of this yumminess with Greggy, and I'm a little sad.
You can't go there, right? Because we would never have the yumminess if you didn't have the yuckiness to go through, right?
Yes, but because I did not see or understand, and I think we both, like you two, had to really grow up and develop in different ways so that it actually was genuine, and there was actually a real expression between both of us in both ways, not just Greggy, but myself too. But what we get to experience now, or as Esther Perel says, sex isn't a thing you do, it's a place you go. The place that we get to go together all the time.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah. I'm like, does it get any better than this?
Right.
And then it does. It just keeps getting better.
Yeah, it does keep getting, like, you're like, can't be there. And it's like, yep,
We do
this morning it got better. Yeah.
Did that really just happen?
Yeah. Like, what just happened there? Can you explain that?
And I think it's important to realize that it ebbs and flows. You're not always like up here.
Oh, absolutely.
And so if you have a tough moment, or, something like gets you both off, it doesn't mean, oh, I haven't made any progress. Like, you just look backwards and see how much progress you've made. And it's not a total upward
straight line.
It's not a linear line.
No.
It really is up, down, up, down. But the general direction is overall.
Yeah, I like to say, we talk about differentiation being in the middle, and we swing toxic independence to enmeshment. That's human nature. That's how we do it. The swinging just has gotten a lot less extreme from one end to the other one. And getting back to the center and differentiation has become a lot faster. And I think that's the best way to describe the up and downs. It's like, it's humanness. We're going to lean towards something we don't want to sometimes, and we're going to have to we need to course correct, and we're going to course correct. And if we don't think that's going to happen, we're trying to dismiss being human.
Yeah. I'm curious, what was different about coaching than you thought it would be? Like, going into it, maybe you had some idea or expectation, and then now having had this experience, maybe what surprised you, or what did you think, oh, I didn't know it was going to be about this or like this or so on?
I was hopeful it wasn't going to be like therapy. We've tried a lot of therapy, and it's just been a disaster for us. And what was very refreshing was to feel seen and heard and not judged. And also, you wanted to help us get better at what we wanted. You didn't want to put us in a certain box. Whatever we wanted to improve on is what you would help us improve on. And we've really, really appreciated that.
Thank you.
For me, the most surprising thing is just the hot seat. I'd say
how hot it can
was
get.
there, you know, and it's just like, okay, am I willing to be super honest and vulnerable and say, yes, this is the one thing that I really need help on. And I could even feel myself like almost blushing or just getting hot. Like, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I'm just going to say, yep, this is how I'm feeling and this is what's going on. And so I think the surprising thing is like how much I cared about wanting to change, but that it was literally, I don't know, quite say painful, but it was a lot of work and a lot of sweat, but knowing the outcome and knowing that Nikki was there to support me, Amy's there to help really coach and guide, like, it's awesome. In some ways, like, I liked being on the hot seat because I knew, hey, when I'm done, I will have grown and be given an opportunity to keep growing, right? And again, for us being together, super helpful, because when Nikki's on the hot seat, and I'm like, oh, I can see what she's going through, right? And we have so much empathy,
little
and so much
supportive,
love, right? That they're
yeah.
willing to do this, because it's work, right?
Yeah.
It is.
It's
It's-
well worth
Do you know
it, but
what's
it's worth it.
funny? Is one time I was in the hot seat and literally my phone was like, "Are you okay? Your heart rate's really high."
Amy, what did you do?
I think that it speaks to when you were confronting yourself in some of these things, like you said, Nikki, when you're opening this box, you have physical experiences that accompany them, which is part of the reason why
Your mind's trying to protect you. Your body's trying to protect you.
we don't go there,
Yep.
right? Why it takes this third person outside of you to kind of push on it a little and pressure in a positive way, right? But
Yes.
because it is uncomfortable, and I've been in that discomfort. I watch clients go through it, and I have ultimate respect for anyone who is willing. And I also have complete trust that on the other side of that, they're going to be grateful, because there will be some nugget, truth, shift, pivot that is beneficial for them in their lives.
Yeah, you're going to be a couple pounds lighter after sweating on that hot seat. So
Oh, kidding.
And I would say one of the things that Amy does that's just phenomenal is she sends us a recap of our coaching session, which for me is so helpful because I always like to document, and this just lets me concentrate. And so when we get like the next day or a couple days later, a recap of our coaching session, it's so good and powerful, because sometimes when you're in the hot seat, your mind is just trying to help you survive and to grow, right? And you don't realize everything that's going on sometimes. And so getting that recap has just been so helpful for us. And frankly, it's, we almost have a book now. Like, I think we have like 50 pages of recap that we put together. This is like our 2-year journey, and it's so fun to go back and to read through and really see concrete examples of how we've grown.
You know what else has been surprising to me is how quickly Amy can get to the kind of a root cause of something. That's just a gift that you have. And it really surprised me because of all the therapy we've been to. I feel like I've been to so many sessions where we just go around and around and around the same circle, and boom, Amy's just got it. And it's things I'd never even considered before, but it's just a gift that Amy's willing to share with the world. So
Thank you, Nikki.
I agree. She's pretty awesome.
So one last thing for couples listening who are maybe on the fence or unsure or wondering if they should do coaching, or wondering, are we broken? What would you tell them?
I would tell them you're not broken, that it's worth investing in your marriage and in yourself. Because if you'd asked us 2 years ago that we'd be right here, right now, I'd say there's no way. There's no way. We were willing to put the work into it, but Greg and Amy have just a gift and a desire to help others, because you've been through the same struggles and you're a step ahead of us. And so you can help us maybe not go through some of the struggles you've been through, because you're willing to share those struggles and your results with all of us. Yeah, what else do you have to say?
I would say it's really easy to be safe and comfortable and not change and not be coached. Right. But if you really want to grow and get to those new heights and to experience it, then it really requires vulnerability, intention, action. And the cool thing is, as a coach, you see it and you're like, you almost want it as much as we do. You want us to grow in that way. And so it's so cool knowing that we're in this like environment where it's safe and you can give us the right questions and the right things to think about and the right homework assignments to be able to make progress and move forward. It's awesome.
Well, thank you so much. Talk about being vulnerable. Did you ever think 2 years ago you'd be on a podcast talking about this stuff? No way.
No way.
And yeah, I that's the thing. And when we get so secure in what we're doing, it's easy, right? It's still vulnerable, but it's like, yeah, I want everyone to have this because, like you said, we're just normal people and we know that they can. Marriages can thrive, and I know it.
And it's been so fun to watch just the light and life and energy fill you too, and to see it like literally move, as you've said, in this creation of your very own custom designed life and marriage. And that's what's so cool to have a front row seat to as a coach. Like,
Almost feel selfish a little bit.
yeah, like, watch out, here they come.
You can see they're ready to go. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Everyone out there, you can have a thriving marriage. We know it. We would love to help you. Again, go to langfordlifecoaching.com, click on that consult button, 45 minutes. There's no tie-in. You don't have to do anything else. If that's all we get, that's all we get. But at least we get 45 minutes with you. We appreciate it. Thank you again. We really appreciate both of you being open. Thank you so much. And until next time,
keep undressing your intimacy.
Bye-bye.